So I'm actually gonna say this register button. So just attach it to the register object function register and then register button. Okay. So for the login, I'm not gonna do that yet. I'm actually gonna go into login real quick, and actually we don't have anything objects on it, so we don't have to do that. Okay. So now that we have that, so that worked. Clicking enter did work. So after that, we're gonna go and we're gonna change something else. So we got both the tab and the enter. So now we can work on the actual functionality of getting the information. So how are we gonna do this? So first off, what we're gonna do is say we're gonna actually go through all of them. So the username, if username equals actually no. Okay, so we have to check the file path. So we're actually gonna save this to a file. So the file is gonna be saved into our Unity test folder. So this is where we're gonna save the data. So it's gonna be drive E, and then it's gonna say Unity test folder. So how do we do that? So we're gonna actually say if this is gonna actually just test if there's a file there. So if file system.io.file.exists, and then this is where we're gonna put the file. So this is if this file exists, if this path exists. So and sign, double quotes, drive E, then slash Unity test folder, and then inside that it's gonna be, I'm actually gonna say plus, so plus plus username, capital username, plus .txt. So if this if the file with the name of the username exists in this folder, Unity test folder, then this won't allow it to create. This will say an error. Oh, that name exists. So that's just a little extra protection so that we know that no two people have the same exact name. So if you didn't want that, if you wanted people to be able to use the same exact username, then you could just totally not use this right here. You wouldn't actually need to use any of this right here. So, but if you want to, just keep following along. So if that's the case, and then else, we're going to say this. So else, we're going to do a debug.log. This is not going to be error. This is going to be a warning. So a warning is not as important as an error. It'll just say warning, like, so an error will show up in red. An error is something you can't have in your code. So a warning is just something that it warns you, oh, this is not working properly, or so and so this is not like the right information. So error would be something more extreme than that. So an error would be like the file won't actually work. Your code won't actually work if this is the case. So we don't want to do an error because then we'll be doing false information or something like that. So I'm just going to say a warning. So warning, and then the warning's going to be username taken. So username taken. Okay. And now after that, we're going to say an if the username is what? actually, we don't need another if. So the username is totally fine. We'll only have one username thing. So if actually, we're actually going to take actually do need another thing. So an if statement. So an if the username equals null equals empty. Okay, if it's not empty. So if it's not empty, then we're just gonna grab this code, and then after that, we're gonna say username is correct or whatever. So else the debug.log warning, and this warning is gonna say, I forgot the semicolon again. Okay, so I'm just not in with it today. Sorry guys about that. So log warning, and this is gonna be a username field empty. Okay, username field empty. So save that. So that's all saved. So now we're gonna do a boolean, a couple booleans actually, for each individual string. So boolean. So this is gonna be bool username un. So username is un, and then equals false. Then we're gonna go up here, un. I keep forgetting the semicolons. I don't know what's with me today. Un equals true. So if it passes all these things, well, just two things, it's simple. The username, I would say, is the simplest thing. So if it passes these two things, then the username is a valid username. So then we're going to say another if statement. Actually, we're actually going to, I don't know what is with me today. I'm not with it. So sorry, guys. It's just, okay, so Boolean. We're going to just make all the Booleans right now. So email equals false. So boolean and password equals false. Then bool, and it's gonna be confirm password equals false. Okay, so we got all of the booleans. That's good. So now we're gonna do an if statement for the email. So email valid. So the first one we're gonna check is actually if the email is empty. So if the email is not equal to nothing, then we're gonna do this. Then we're gonna say if the email is valid, then we're gonna do this. So automatically, we don't actually have to add if email valid equals true. So if we had it this way, if email valid, it automatically assumes that it equals true. If we were to add that, then it would be if it was false. So that's just a little tip, just so you can know. So if email is true, email valid is true, so if it's a valid email. So again, this actually won't test if it's a valid email. It will just test if it's an email that contains the first letter is actually a letter. It contains an @ sign and a period, and the last letter, the last symbol or character of the email is a letter. I'll show you what that means in a couple seconds. So if it sounded like it really was complicated what I just said there. So if email dot contains So this is where I'm going to show you what it contains. So if it contains an @, I think I have to add some quotes here, parentheses. Yeah, if it has an @ sign, it's good. Okay, so if it contains an @ sign, then we're going to check if it contains a period. Period. Then after that, then if it passes the email valid, which is just text the first letter and the last letter to make sure the actual letter is not like period, dot, period, something strange. So just checks those last things, and then these check the email actually contains these. So if it isn't empty, then if it contains the first and last is a letter or a number. Actually, the first has to be a number. It has to be a letter, but the last can't be a number. It's something like that. So, and then if the email contains an @ sign and a period, then we're gonna say, finally, the email, or em, equals true. There we go. Good. So, after all that, we actually have to add some errors here. So, debug.log. So debug else. Copy this over here. Paste, paste, paste. Sorry about that. Okay, so after that, then now we're gonna add the debug. So debug.log. Copy that. Paste, 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 paste. So the first one's just gonna say that the username, actually the email field is email field is empty. Not empty. Email field empty. Okay. Now for this one, we're gonna add, so if the email is valid. Okay, then we're gonna say email is incorrect. And for up here, we're basically going to say email is incorrect for all of them. So I'm just going to copy this. Copy. Because technically, if it passes this and these are all wrong, then they're all email is invalid. When actually, it's actually not checking to see if the email is valid. There are ways to do that, but it would take up a lot more code that I'm actually creating right now, so it would be a lot harder for me to show in a video. It would take a lot longer. So after that, after we got the email valid, now we want to check the password is valid. So actually the password, we don't actually have to check if it's valid. We just need to check if there's a password. So if the password, so password is not equal to nothing, then we're gonna say password. Okay, so is there any other validation we need to make? Okay, so there is something I forgot. So if the password, we need to make sure the password is actually at least 6 characters long. So if password is greater than 5, actually password.length. There we go. If password.length is greater than 5, then we will add a debug.log. So else, that's a password. So pw equals true. Okay. And now for the debugs. So debug long warning. Copy that. Paste that there. Oh, nope. Undo that. Else. I'm just going to paste. I'm just not even going to worry about pasting anywhere. So else Okay, now we can paste that over. So paste that over here. Debug.log. And okay, so if it's not greater than 6, or if it's not greater than 5, if it's not at least 6, so we're just going to say password must be at least 6 characters long. Characters long. Password must be at least 6 characters long. Okay, and then for this one, it's basically going to say something simple, that the password field is empty. So password field is actually no, empty. Okay, so after we did all 3 of those things, now we just need to check if the password, if the password confirmation is valid. So we're just gonna say if password dot confirmation, actually no, it's confirmation password, so conf password is not equal to null, then we're gonna say if the password conf password is equal to the actual password, so password, so if they're the same, is basically what this is saying, then we're gonna go along with it. So let's put the else here. Okay, else, and here. Oh. Okay, so if both of those go through, then we're gonna just say C password, there we go, equals true. Else, we're gonna say debug.log, so paste that actually. Log warning. This was gonna say passwords don't match. Okay, and the other one is gonna just say, oh, I did it again. Forgot the semicolon. Okay, so passwords, actually password confirm password field is empty, actually. Make this capital. Okay, so we're just gonna save this. Now, after all of this, after everything equals true, what are we gonna do? We're actually gonna create the folder. We actually first need to actually make the password encrypted. So before, I was really thinking about whether or not I want to make it encrypted or not, but I looked up all these different ways of making it encrypted, and all of them were super complicated. So I was like, maybe if I encrypt it myself, find out a way. It's not the most secure way to do it, but it is a way to do it. I wouldn't keep the files that these produce on your client side. I wouldn't keep it in a folder inside the computer of the person making or registering their account. I wouldn't do that. I would put it on a database or server side folder, so that way it's less likely for them to tamper with it. Actually, they're not going to be able to tamper with it at all. So do that, and then I would encrypt the data so that way it's even less likely for hackers to be able to get into the data. So this is a simple way to encode it. I wouldn't use it for like very secure things that you need very secure and not like anybody can access it. So I wouldn't do it this way, but this way is good for a simple way to do it. So okay, we're gonna just say if all of these things equal true, so if it's UN, EM, PW, and CPW, so UN true, if it equals true, and the email equals true, and the password, so password equals true, and the CPW equals true. So if they all equal true, then we are going to encrypt the data. So how do we do that? So first off, we're actually going to take the data and we're going to send it through. Actually, first we need to add a couple booleans. So first one's going to be bool clear equals false. Actually equals true. So clear equals true. And then we're going to say int I equals, give it 1 for now. So int I equals 1. So then we're going to say this. So for each, here, do it again, each, there we go. So for each char, which stands for character, char C in password. For each character in password, basically saying what it's saying, it'll loop through this. So if there's, say, 17 characters in password, it'll loop through this same thing 17 times. So then after that, we're going to say, we're basically going to add one number. Well, we're going to times it times whatever character you have. So say you have A. You put, say you have the letter A in your password. And basically what it's going to do is it's going to encode it, it's going to say A plus or times 2. It's going to say 8 times 2. So that would be B. Because A is the first letter of the alphabet. So A is basically a number. So A1, 1 times 2 is 2. So A equals B. And then for every time it loops through this, each one's going to be times one more number. So we're going to say, don't say that. So we're going to just say char this is going to say encrypted equals char, we just need to reference it, char, and then so C plus, or actually times I. So for each this, it's gonna actually inside this for each loop, we're gonna to make this number times the next number, it's gonna say I plus plus. So just say I plus plus. So that means if there's 17 characters, this will be times 1, times 2, times 3, times 4, times 5, times 6, times 7, and then all the way to 17. So each character will be times another number. So say A times 17, that would be way, way more letters or numbers. That would probably even be a symbol. So after that, what we're going to do is we're going to save the encrypted password. So before that right here, we're just going to actually add a function. So if the password, if clear is equal to true. Actually, we just need to have like that. So if clear, then we're gonna say password equals null, equals nothing. Well, actually not null, but equals empty quotes. And then we're gonna say the clear password is equal to false. Okay, so clear, actually clear Boolean equals false. I said password. Okay, so if clear equals false, that means it won't actually loop through this, just so that it doesn't keep clearing the password actually every time we actually add a character. So now down here, we're gonna set the encrypted to the password. So password equals, plus equals actually. So plus equals, which means it adds a character to it. Plus equals, I don't know why it's up there. So plus equals encrypted. Okay, so there's something wrong. Aha, okay. Forgot the quotes again. So encrypted. Aha. There we go. Keep forgetting stuff. Encrypted. Okay. Dat toString. And that should be all set. So after that, after we encrypt, after we get the password encrypted, then we're gonna add this. So we're gonna say form, the thing we added before up here, way up here, the string, form equals, and this is gonna be all in the same same line. So form equals username plus new line. So new line n. Okay, so that doesn't work. So sn. Yeah, that doesn't work. Okay, so actually maybe it works in here. So plus quotes slash n. There we go. Okay, so plus that plus it would be email as next, and then plus the same thing. So plus that plus, and then the last one's going to be password. So this is going to show the encrypted password. So password, oh no, password. There we go. And now, semi-quotes. And now we just need to save this form to a file. So we say system.io.file write all text, write all lines, yeah, write all text, and then this is going to be the file path. So at double quotes, it's going to be the same thing we had before. So what shall I get? Just copy it. So this, copy, okay, paste that in, and then we're going to add the contents. So the contents of it is going to be form. There we go. Now, just to add a little something, we're just going to actually clear all the contents of all the username input fields. So just going to copy these and paste them up here. Delete this. Okay. And say this equals nothing. Equals nothing. Actually, no. 1 equal, not 2. There we go. Equals that. And last but not least. Perfect. So after we clear them all, it should say print registration complete. Okay. And that should be it for the registration side. So now I'm just going to test it. So go into here. Once it plays, type in a name. So just put in random information. Actually, I'm going to test the email. So let's see how it works. So I'm just going to not put any @ sign. Let's see what it says. So username taken. Okay, how's the username taken? There's no username in here. Maybe I added it wrong. Okay, it's always good to test. So if username. Aha. You have to do this. So if it doesn't exist, if it does exist, we won't. So if it does, this is basically saying if it exists, then we'll actually go back to the else statement and not make it equal true. So if it doesn't exist, is basically what this is saying. If it doesn't exist, then we'll say it's true. So save that again. Go back into here. And it should be fine now. So blah. Sure. Email is incorrect, so we don't have the doesn't exist. So let's see, at least 6. So if you see it doesn't duplicate, so just this password doesn't match, which is correct. The email is incorrect. Now if we add, oh actually we forgot to add something real quick. So we have everything else, but we forgot to add the email validation. So for that, we need to check if it, we actually need to add a function. So down here, we're going to say void email validation. Okay. And inside this, what we're going to add is a couple of things. So first off, we're going to go to email right up here. So before it checks to see if the email is valid, we need to call the function. So email validation. Okay, so that calls it, and then it checks if it's valid. So up here, we need to add a private variable. So private string. This is going to be array. This is going to say characters. Okay, so inside this, we're going to have a couple things. So I'm actually going to copy it over, so equals this. There we go. So save this. I'm actually going to copy it over, so go all the way to the top. This is my previous code for this. I'm just going to copy this all over. Don't want to have to type that all up again. And then go into here and paste that in. Okay, so I notice. There you go. Okay, so it is going off the screen a little bit, but that's fine for now. Usually you would want it to stop by this line right here. You wouldn't want anything to go back past that. It's just a line for just to let you know, like, you don't want anything to go past that. But for now, it's totally fine. So after this is basically just saying if one of these characters is the beginning letter of the email. That's what we're using. There are simpler ways to do this, but I haven't found a way that we can actually use in this. Guys might find a way out there how to be able to implement it into it, but I haven't yet. I tried a couple ways, but haven't yet found a way to make it simpler. So we're gonna have to use this for now. Um, so we're gonna do a for loop for int I equals 0, and then if I is less than characters dot length, then I plus plus. Okay, so for the characters dot length, then we're gonna do this. We're gonna basically say if this is gonna be the beginning of the letter. So if the email that starts with what? Starts with characters and I. Okay. So if it starts with one of these characters, this is going to loop through all the characters, and if it starts with one of the characters, then it's going to equal true. So that, and we actually need a couple of variables here. So starts with false, and ends with equals false as well. Okay, so we got two variables here. So we're just gonna say starts with equals true. Okay, so now we basically need to copy this whole thing and do it again. So paste and just change this right here to ends with, and this right here to EW. Okay, and then once the end, then it will go down to here. So after that, then we're going to say if the SW is equal to true and the EW is equal to true as well, then we will say email valid equals true. Okay, that should be all that we need for this, and that way we'll be able to test if the first letter and the last letter are true. Else they're not true. Else this won't be valid, and then it'll just say that the email is incorrect. So we just saved that, and now we're going to go back into it to see if it works. So actually we're going to span it right real quick. So email is incorrect. So if I do this at that's now if I register, okay, I'm going to clear it one more time and show you again. So now the email is correct. If I take this away, if I take these last ones away, okay, so because we don't have it, so if the email is still true, else we're going to say this, else just to make sure it goes back to email valid equals false. So email equals false. Save that. And now, play one more time. Just go in here, and click register. Email is incorrect. Click that. at dot email is still incorrect. And now if I click that, email is not incorrect. If we take it away, let's see what it does. Email is incorrect. Perfect. Okay.